welcome. I'm Ijoma Bunyato. Tonight, the president arrives China, begins investment meetings with Chinese leadership. PDP's National Publicity Secretary Olisa Metu opens defense on corruption trial after months of attempts to have his case transferred to another judge. University students in Port Harcourt and Makudi protest lack of social amenities. Students of Uniport claim a male student died during the protest. And Somali journalist accused of being a member of Al-Shabaab is executed in Somalia.
On business news tonight, World Bank predicts 4.5% overall growth for sub-Saharan African economies in the year 2017.
And on sports news tonight, FIFA expels Equatorial Guinea women's team from the 2020 Olympic qualifier for using falsified documents.
And from Abuja, I'm Linda Hibe. More controversy over budget 2016 as Senate insists Lagos Calabar Railway project was not in the original appropriation bill. We begin with the president's arrival in the People's Republic of China for a state visit. He was received by China's Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs alongside other senior Chinese government officials at the Beijing Capital International Airport. On the president's team are the governors of Oyo State, Abiola Ajimobi, Ogun State, Ibikunle Amosun, and the governor of Yobe State, Ibrahim Gaidam. Others with the president on this trip are the Minister of Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enelama, Minister of Transport, Chibike Amechi, and the Minister of Water Resources, Sulaiman Adamu. To security matters, where pirates off the coast of Nigeria have attacked a Turkish cargo ship, kidnapping 6 crew members in a region which has seen increasing piracy in recent years. Agency reports say pirates abducted the ship's mechanical engineer, electrician, navigator, and the 3 captains. The ship is owned by Captain Ogle Shipping, who confirmed that the kidnapped crew and those who remained on the ship are in good health. It's unclear how many crew members were aboard the ship, which was carrying chemicals when it was attacked. Company officials said the pirates have not contacted them. And the Borno state government says it's produced a blueprint for full engagement of an estimated 20,000 local vigilantes called the Civilian JTF after the Boko Haram insurgency. The State Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Kakasheku Lawan, told journalists in Maiduguri, the state capital, today that part of the agenda of the blueprint is youth integration. He adds that the blueprint made provision for the creation of a youth empowerment agency to address the needs of the members of the civilian JTF. The Commissioner of Justice also says that the state government had made contact with the Nigerian Army authorities to enlist those qualified into the service. We move on where the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Olisa Metu, has opened his defense in the corruption suit filed against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. At the resumed trial in Abuja, Mr. Metu called his first witness, Mr. Ike Abena, who worked as his media consultant. The witness told the court that the party at the time, that's the party leader, former President Goodluck Jonathan, and the PDP funded the National Publicity Secretary's office. This was, however, contested by the prosecutor, who said he had evidence of illegal transactions between the former National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, and Mr. Metu. The case has been adjourned to April the 20th for cross-examination.
The long-awaited defense, after the to and fro's, the rigmaroles, it has finally commenced today. We were able to take one defense witness. Well, you are all there. You are all there. Somebody that knows next to nothing about the real issues in the case was brought to testify for the defendants. But as you can see from the cross-examination, his evidence wasn't innocuous at all. I mean, with respect to the subject matter of the trial, I don't think he knows anything.
On Friday, we did say, the first defendant did say that he was ready to go on with the matter. And today again, much as the counsel to the second defendant moved the court to an adjournment to allow him time and facility to defend the second defendant. We did mention to court that we had our witnesses, and based on that, the court took our witness. We've always said that we are not shying away from defending this matter, and we've also said earlier that we started defending the first day the prosecution witness came and testified. We did our cross-examination and we extracted materials with which we filed and argued our no-case submission. We are not shying away from this. It's just that we say that things must be done properly.
Let's stay with legal matters. The Bayelsa State Tribunal, sitting in Abuja, has given leave to the All Progressives Congress and its candidate in the Bayelsa governorship election, Mr. Piracy Silva, to inspect and make copies of 30 items used for the Bayelsa governorship election. The chairman of the tribunal, Justice Kazim Alogwa, however, removed 7 other items from the list because the petitioner had failed to show how not having those items will affect its case. The items removed include the final and interim report on the Kogi governorship election, summary of the total voters register, security report relating to the election, and the election observers report.
It was substantially granted. We listed about 33 items. 8 were not granted. About 25 were granted. So for us, it's a total success. And the tribunal also ruled that that doesn't stop us from calling evidence on those issues. So we have no problem with the ruling. It's a win-win situation for us.
It was actually granted in part. It was a well-considered ruling. And as I said, we did not oppose the application ab initio, but the tribunal actually did a thorough work. They were able to streamline the papers and reduced some of the requests which the tribunal felt cannot be granted. There was a well-considered rule. Yes, we've been given 14 days to comply with that upon the receipt of the order. The 14 days will begin to run upon the receipt of the order of court, and we are ready to comply with the order of court.
The United Nations has promised unreserved assistance to the Nigerian government in the resettlement of internally displaced persons affected by the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. The promise was given by the resident coordinator of the UN system in Nigeria, Fatma Sumra. Ms. Sumra paid a visit to Channels Television today, meeting with the Chairman Chief Executive, Mr. John Momoh. Both discussed their vision and ideas for Nigeria and partnerships to fully further the UN developmental programs here in the country. During an interview later on The World Today, Ms. Sumra said the UN is also eager to see the development of women and youth in the country, leading to economic increase and fulfilling the Sustainable Development Goals.
The UN will be supporting the government, abiding to the humanitarian principle of volunteer return to the areas of origin when safety is restored. And we are now very much involved in managing the solid waste, which also represent health hazard for the population, and also on really rehabilitating the infrastructures that have been destroyed as a result of this insurgency of Boko Haram. There are huge steps that Nigeria requires in terms of really reducing the poverty, but also making development more inclusive by ensuring that the youth and the women are empowered and have access to more job opportunities. Today, the economy of Nigeria, that is leading the whole continent, is also suffering from several drawbacks, including the dwindling prices of the fuel and the depreciation of the naira, which are making the reaching of this SDG even more challenging for the country. So UN is here to bring support through the private sector, through the media, through the civil society organization, in order to ensure first that the majority of the 180 million Nigerians have a good understanding of what it takes to be an inclusive economy, but more importantly to ensure that the disparity between men and women and also between the cities and the rural areas are really filled and make the development of Nigeria more inclusive.
federal government has been advised to prioritize its policy on girl-child education to achieve the needed development here in the country. This advice is coming from a co-convener of the Bring Back Our Girls group, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. Dr. Ezekwesili, who was speaking at an event marking the Global Week of Action for the Abducted Chibok Girls, expressed her opinion that the government at all levels must have a strategic plan of action to remove the impediments to education of girls in Nigeria.
It is with this that I
The event is part of the activities put together by the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners to mark the 2 years anniversary of the abduction of 219 schoolgirls in Chibok. The activities takes a look at the nation's endangered education system following the wave of abduction and killings of school children in the northeast by members of the Boko Haram sect.
Inequality and its root cause can be traced to unequal access to education. When it happens with girls, it is worse because it has a double effect. The girls which are not educated are most sooner exposed to child marriage, unprepared only to raise children, themselves being children.
There were words of encouragement from members of the international community. They hope to see more enrollment of girls in schools backed by adequate security in the days ahead.
We hope to see the rebuilding of the Northeast take a start. But most of all, I think we hope to see an end to all the suffering of the victims and see them pick up their normal way of life again. The access to education for all, and especially for the girl child, must be part of this normal way of life, and that must be clear after this morning's event.
Some of the priorities of Canada in Nigeria are very much focused on the welfare of the girl child and on gender parity. Canada is particularly active in MNCH, that's maternal, newborn and child health, in our development programming. But we're also very active in supporting advocacy and supporting Nigerian civil society in promoting the welfare of the girl child and combating forced and child marriage.
Education remains key to the socio-economic development of any nation. The consensus here is that the investment in this key area should be the top priority on the minds of government and key players.
In part 2, after the break, we'll have more on the President's trip to China. I've been joined in the studio by a professor of the Institute of Technology in Beijing, Yongjing Wang, who joins us again.